All right, Bosh, we're on Squeeze the Neck podcast, and today I'm back at an old haunt in Berlin, BJJ dojo. Slightly different background, but we're in the same gym with my new mate, Alex Fuchs Fialho.
Yeah.
Yes,
Perfect.
man, I got it right. Top man. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yes.
And we are fresh off a training session. I didn't do much. I only did about 5-6 rounds, but I'm very grateful for you to have me down, mate, for beating me up for a few rounds. So it was all good. But as I say, you're getting ready now. Oh, sorry, I didn't say it yet. You're getting ready for the Euros, right? So we are 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah, 21 days.
21 days, okay,
Yeah.
so 3 weeks away from the Euros, and
Yeah.
that is in the Ghee.
Yeah.
But I didn't turn up in the Ghee today, so I did some Nogi rounds with you and the boys, and shout out to Rodrigo as well for letting us use it again. He's been a previous guest, which I'll link in below the episode if you want to watch it, guys. But take me through preparations, mate. Where are we at for the Euros?
Actually, I only decided to fight in the Euros like 1.5 weeks ago. Just want to experience a little bit more. Yeah, fuck it, I'm getting old, so...
Bro, hang on, stop. You're 3 years younger than me, bro. Don't start that shit with me. Huh?
Yeah, but you're losing your prime. So I'm looking for a new gym and stuff, so I'm trying to make connections. I got last year 3rd place, and I had no preparation since I was preparing for ADCC trials. So this time I think I'm a little bit more prepared, and I'm gonna try my luck.
Nice, mate. Because we was on the mats, and I'm assuming it was someone else's belt. I looked round, and I think it had a purple belt on it. I was rolling with Rodrigo, so I wasn't focusing. But I looked round, and I thought, I'm sure that motherfucker's got a purple belt on.
Yeah, no, I typically go to all gyms, and I just would use whatever belt.
Is that right? You like a rainbow coloured belt and all that shit just to fuck around?
In the UK, I use the white belt or
Brilliant.
blue belt.
Blue belt's the best because that'll confuse people. White belt people go, just, whatever. Whereas blue belt people will go, how the fuck, where's he getting this shit from?
No, but yeah, it's fun because then they're not gonna try to smash you, and then in the end they feel a little bit better if they get smashed because they're like, actually he was a black belt.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, because we didn't mention it at the top, but I'll put it obviously in the description.
Yeah.
How long have you been a black belt, mate?
So I got it in September 3 years ago. So like 3 years and a couple of months.
Nice, man. So long time in the game now. And
13, 14 years.
Yeah, but we was talking before, and we on this podcast I always jump around, man, different timelines. But like, you've got a bit of a German accent to me, right? But you're not actually a German guy. You are Portuguese.
So I was born and raised in Portugal. I lived there until I was around 21, 22. But I am half German because my mother is German.
Ah, okay.
But I never learned the language only when I moved here like 8-9 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's funny you say, I've mentioned this yesterday on a podcast I did with our friend Robert Nesta about like everyone in Germany speaks English anyway, so it's like whatever. Right? I turned up and I was asked, I'm repeating myself, but I was at the train station. I said, excuse me, you speak English? And he looked at me like I was fucking sideways. Of course I speak English.
No, definitely you're going to be better off speaking English in Berlin specifically than speaking German. Yeah.
Great place. I love Berlin. I'll repeat it here, but like, I love Berlin. I'm going to be back and forth here because it's it's a great place. People are welcoming like yourself. I don't know you before today, right?
Yeah.
We've spoke on social media.
Yeah.
But I showed up today. You welcomed me to the gym, smashed me for a few rounds.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Nah, I don't know about that. But so take us back to the beginning, mate. As I said, you're from Portugal originally. How did you get into martial arts, and what's your story?
My story. So my father passed away like when I was pretty young, like 14, 15. And I got then pretty depressed, and I was quite bullied and out of shape and stuff like that. So at some point I wanted to change something, and I decided lifting. And then in the lifting gym I started doing kickboxing. Then, as I told you before, there was a day in the kickboxing class where they switched around. So in the kickboxing class they did the Jiu Jitsu class, and in the Jiu Jitsu class they did kickboxing. I did Jiu Jitsu, I sweated more than the kickboxing. I said, this is probably better to lose weight. Knowing that basically it was my food, not what I was training, that was keeping me fat. Because I was like drinking 4 liters of Coke a day.
Every day. Ooh,
and
good times.
I couldn't lose weight even though I was training like 5 hours a day.
It's a mystery.
And then one day I stopped just drinking Coca-Cola, and then I got slim, and I was like, fuck, okay. It's about what you take in.
What do you mean? Coke's not healthy for you? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? You're crazy. You're wild, man. But how old are you when you started, when all this kickboxing and lifting shit's going on?
So this was about like 16 and a half, 17.
So
and
a
then
kid really still.
Then I started doing Jiu Jitsu at around 18. And then that was in Portugal. I did it for 2 years until I got my blue belt. That some stuff happened where I had to move into Berlin, and then actually I started then training with your last guest, Robert Nestor.
Shout out Robert Nestor, very welcoming guy as well.
I got from blue to brown. We unfortunately separated, but just different in type of personality, but he helped me a lot since I was, like when I came to Berlin, I was homeless. I moved to Berlin because I was homeless with my mother. So we moved here due to the support that Germany gives you. And Robert was one of the persons that helped me basically go out from a suicidal mindset. He let me train in his gym for free. He started letting me coach there. So he was a big step in me getting into my jiu-jitsu career. So even though we separated our ways, I will be always thankful to what he did in my life. And yeah, then I got a brown belt. I started teaching in Potsdam, which is 1.5 hours away from Berlin, while I was training in another gym called Fenris. And then I trained there in Potsdam. I was teaching the classes. Unfortunately, one day after class, 3 guys stopped me and my friend as we are going back home. And one of the guys, we had a fight. I took a guy down. The other guy came from behind and kicked me in the face and broke my jaw.
That's nice of him, wasn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah, so that was like 2 weeks after I got my black belt. So then I had to quit that place in Potsdam. And then I started becoming full-time coach in this gym called Fenris. And then since the last 4 months, we also separated. And now I'm like looking to build my own gym. Yeah,
nice.
Build my own.
So you're all over the place, yeah. Because when we spoke, you said you didn't have a gym, and we just happened to work out that we're here with Rodrigo. Obviously, where I've been before, which is nice. But where are you from in Portugal originally?
So it's close to Lisbon. It's called Almada. Sorry for the people that live there, but it's a kind of a shit place. It's full of like ghettos everywhere.
Okay, oh really?
So
okay.
Yeah, like it's a bit rough, I would say. So I'm quite happy when I moved to Berlin because it felt much safer of a city. Yeah,
right.
I would say.
It's a clean city as well, isn't it, Berlin? The thing that strikes me with Berlin, the streets are clean compared to London. You've been to London, right?
Yeah, I think you just have not been to the right places.
Maybe I've been on a touristy bit. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but the UK is also not the best. So
no, UK, hey, don't shoot the messenger. But it's so if you like with Robert Nesta and stuff, obviously, like whatever happened. But you speak very highly of him. He spoke very highly of you, which is obviously a nice thing, isn't it? Because I don't know whether that's. I think it's a jiu-jitsu thing in general, isn't it? Really, like jiu-jitsu seems to be. There's a community aspect to it, and there's certain schools. Don't get me wrong. You go to a bit cult-like, and you go, "Fuck that place! I ain't going back there." And they want you to wear certain things and speak to a certain way. But for the most part, I think, and it's international. Like we're in a different country. For me, I think, for the most part, it's a nice vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, and it just builds like a really tight relationship, and that's why sometimes the splits are a little bit more not so friendly or not like maybe are not the best. But it's because just. The relationships get so deep in jiu-jitsu because we share so much.
You go through a lot together, don't you, on the mats as well? You know what I mean? It's hard, you put each other through some shit. Don't you? You know what I mean?
And we spend so much time together. Like when I was training with Robert, I used to be there in his gym 8 hours a day. So like you get really tight with somebody rolling, sweating in each other's mouths. Like as we know, it's like not the straightest sport.
Don't make eye contact. You're fine. Yeah, but it's when you come to Berlin. You're what? Are you still a teenager then, or you?
No, I'm 21.
All right, but still young, right? Still young, and it's a new country.
Yeah.
Were you looked at as like a foreigner? Was it like that kind of vibe when you came here?
So I was pretty mentally out because I didn't speak the language. I had just moved with my mother. We had to sell everything, so I was just basically lost. So I wasn't doing anything besides like just walking around because I didn't know anybody. And then, when I found Robert and the BJJ Academy, that was like my safe haven. And that's why I think Jiu-Jitsu is so cool. Because even though like I had no studies, like I had nothing going on for me, but you just go into a gym and like people just care for you. I don't know, it's just like a safe space you can find. Like I'm traveling all of us around and I go to every gyms and you always hear this like conversations about this gym is bad and this gym is bad. But I just think if you are a nice person, typically, I haven't gone to a gym where I was treated badly. And I travel like a lot. If I go to a city, I might train in most of the gyms. Like I might do 3 different gyms in a day. And like if you want to win in a round, like most people do, even though they say they control their ego, yes, you're going to get some bad gyms because some people have egos and it's a lot of things in the gym. But typically, if you go with an open mindset, man, everybody typically is nice. Like
and I think with jiu-jitsu as well, it is that kind of environment. Isn't it? Like no one judges nothing. They don't care who you are. Whereas when other, no names, but certain other like combat sports you go to, there's a bit, it's a bit like
you have to prove yourself because it's a bit more. It hurts if you lose, and in jiu-jitsu, like I don't mind lose since when I go and travel in other gyms, I don't mind losing. But me losing doesn't mean me getting hurt. Maybe like my ego gets hurt, but it's not me being physically hurt. And like I guess in boxing and kickboxing, like if you are letting yourself lose, you are kind of at some point getting hurt.
Yeah, well, it's like we said. I think we said earlier. It's like boxing. You know, you're getting punched in the head. Do you know what I mean? You can't. It's a bit late to tap, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like an armbar. I can't just
let him punch me just because I don't want to be aggressive. Like in jiu-jitsu, I can let you mount me, and it's just if it hurts, it's only my ego.
Yeah. Okay, for sure. But from like, when did you start coming into sort of competitive stuff in Berlin, and when did you start finding your feet? Because you said you was homeless, you didn't know anybody. Like, how did it turn around for you?
Competition-wise.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I never had a lot of money, so competition was always hard. So I only typically did local tournaments like Grappling Industries and that type of stuff, more local. I wouldn't really travel a lot. Then when I got my brown belt, I started competing more, but I started doing trials and I started like going to bigger tournaments. But then I broke my jaw, and that was like a big recovery because I had like a complete break on the side, and then the operation didn't went so well, so they wired my mouth shut for 3 months, so I couldn't.
That's a fun time.
I couldn't open my mouth and stuff like that. So that took me. That was when I was 27. So that took me like 1 year to recover. Then I came back too eager, and then I fucked my meniscus up. So then I had my meniscus stitch up. So that was another 8 months. So then, like, when I was in my prime and really ready, like, also financially a little bit better, I had all the setbacks. But since, like, the last 2 years, I've been, like, really trying to compete a lot, like, doing Europeans in the Ghee, doing ADCC, doing Nogi Europeans, trying to compete as much as I can, doing super fights. Nice. Been a lot in the UK doing super fights and stuff like that.
That's good. But because you keep saying about your prime, bro, you're young. Don't give me that shit. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
At 66 kilos when you are 31, it's unfortunately...
Really?
Yeah, fuck you.
How do you feel now compared to when you say, I don't know, you're 31, you said, when you were 28? Is there a difference or not?
Well, I had my jaw broken, my knee fucked, so...
I guess that's what I'm coming at. Because, like, injuries or is it age?
No, right now I feel just like the age, like, because when you fight with like the 66 kilo guys that are like 19, 18, and they like, because right now I know how to move, but I have to think about it. Oh, if I might move left, my knee might not be so good.
Right.
So then it takes a second to rethink your strategy. While when I was 19, 18, is like, you don't give a shit. You think about it after. Like, you think you are immortal. You're like, if it pops tomorrow, I sleep, I wake up, I'm good. But now you're like, fuck, I should think about more. Am I going to jump onto my head to take his back, or I'm going to maybe wait a bit for a better opportunity?
Yeah, okay.
So I feel definitely technically I'm at my best. I think I'm as fit as I ever was. I'm as strong as I ever was. But it's just that mental side of things, especially in the 60 kilo division, where you have to just move a lot and like sometimes be spazzy and put yourself in positions that might injure you, that start like making it more difficult to compete at a higher level.
Yeah.
Because at 66 you just do backflips, cartwheels, turn your knee to the left, turn your knee to the right.
Yeah.
So that part I kind of feel like I'm getting a little bit older, but that's why Masters is there for. So I'm gonna compete Masters, and that's where I'm gonna get my golds.
Well, you should do what I do. I identify as a 21-year-old now. When you ask my age on this podcast, I'm 21, bro. So don't worry.
No, I don't have no hair. I can't hide that shit.
Yeah, I might have to shave my beard, so I look a bit younger. I don't know. But you like obviously you started in the kickboxing and whatnot. Are you an MMA fan, or are you just pure jiu-jitsu nowadays?
So I used to be a lot of an MMA fan, but when I moved to Berlin, I really decided that my goal is to be one of the best coaches in the world in jiu-jitsu. So I stopped like watching a lot of MMA. So I only focus like in jiu-jitsu. Like my thing is just literally hyper focus in studying, like instructional, studying matches, mind maps. Like my mind is typically 24/7 jiu-jitsu.
That's cool, man. Because on your Instagram as well, I think you're Alex Nogi.
Right? Yeah.
So which is kind of what drew me to you. I was like, hey, he's all right, this guy. You know? Tell us about that, because the reason I say that so like in a joking way is because I showed up today, you had a gi. I was like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah. So I love more Nogi. So that's my goal. My goal is to be not only one of the best coaches, but more like driven to Nogi. Even though I think Ghee has its place for your learning curve as a student, there are points where I really suggest people going to the Ghee because it gives you time, or it develops some skills in an area a bit faster than when you're doing it Nogi. But yeah, basically I started doing more Nogi and focusing when Robert actually. I had a super fight. Maybe you know Jay Butler from
Yes, yeah.
So I had a super fight with him at Battle Grapple when I was a brown belt. And in the BJJ Academy, there's like once a week Nogi. I don't know if now it changed, but before then, I only used to do Ghee my first 8 years. And yeah, he got me a super fight with Jay Butler in the UK. And when they came out with the photos about like age stuff, they had also speciality, and he had heel hooks. And I was like, oh fuck, I better train a little bit of Nogi. Yeah, and that's where like I dove into the instructionals, started watching Danaher, and like I fell in love with just the way of learning, like a conceptual more of approach besides just learning a technique here, a technique there. And then I fell in love, and unfortunately the instructionals are still very biased to Nogi in my mind in terms of the value that it brings. They are still much better in Nogi. So then I focused like watching all the instructionals that I could, and then it just drove me more and more into a hole. And also specifically, I think that for a smaller person, Nogi is more applicable because like grips is the main thing in the Ghee, and when you get a guy that grabs you first in the Ghee that is stronger than you, it's like it's fucked. Like I would say I'm as good in the Ghee as I'm a Nogi, even though like they call me like a leg locker. But like if I fight a bigger guy in the Ghee, it's just so much more difficult. Like if he grabs your arm, it's his arm. In Nogi, I can slip out. If he gets me in mount, I can maybe kip. In the back, I can escape. Like in the Ghee, he holds you with the lapels. It's like the strength plays a big factor.
Yeah.
So Nogi gives me a little bit more playroom, especially because I don't know if the camera can tell, even though I'm looking jacked now.
Jacked, jacked, bro.
I'm pretty small, so that means that I'm typically always the smallest guy in the room. So Nogi gives me the chance of like being able to roll with everybody and still have a fun roll.
I got you. And how do you do your training? Do you do much in the Ghee? Obviously, you showed up today
Yeah.
using Ghee and no Ghee. You was
Yeah.
taking it off between rounds. But like,
Yeah.
what's sort of a typical split for you in your training? Do you like both?
No, so if I'm helping somebody, I'm training in the Ghee. If I'm teaching in the Ghee, then I'm training in the Ghee. But besides that, it's mostly no Ghee.
Oh, you are? Okay, yeah.
I mostly do Nogi. Typically, before I used to teach in Fenris, I had a group like of competitors, people that were motivated, and there we only like used to train Nogi. Like they got actually quite good success, and we basically only trained like even when I had my broken jaw, they would come to my house because I would have mats in my house since Corona. And like I would be with my mouth wired shut, laying in my bed, and I would be telling them what to drill while they were in the mat. I was like, "B, grab his hand here, grab his hand there." The same thing with the knee. When I was in the knee recovering at home, I would be in my bed laying down, and they would be in the mats, and I would be telling them what to drill and stuff like that. So yeah, basically it's always Nogi, and it tends to be like always. Now I don't have a gym, so it's a little bit more difficult in terms of training. But until then, it's always like 6-7 hours a day in the mats, like morning,
Really, yeah.
and then in the evening. Yeah,
That's cool. And how do you manage that, like with your body and stuff? Like, do you do weights and stuff around it, or you just pure jiu-jitsu?
No, I lift. So, but when I fucked my knee up, I was lifting too much. I was lifting every day and training every day, like just not smart, like doing PRs every day and some bullshit like that, and then going sparring hard. And then I fucked up my knee. So you live, you learn. So definitely a balance. So I try to lift 3 times a week. But since I'm traveling now a lot, it's difficult to find that routine about the lifting.
Yeah.
And training, like to stay fit, like because I don't. Also, I guess because my goal is more to be a coach, so it's not. I only compete to experience what it is to compete to help my students with it and to help connecting and stuff like that for the future.
Okay.
But since I don't have that ego of winning the rounds, you can basically train every day. Like
Right.
if you are not going to win, you can roll every day and still be fit. And this is
Yeah.
why the new wave guys say that they train 7 days a week, is because they're not like rolling to win every round. They are like rolling to train. So I might be just training how to set up frames. And for me, if you tap me like today, let's say 10 times, and I'm just learning how to put my frames, I'm winning. If I'm setting my frames in one round, if you submit me, you might think you won the round, but in my mind, I won my round because my round was to put frames. So, but now that I'm trying to compete a little bit more, now I realize that if you're competing and rolling hard, you can't like train 2-3 times a day. Like it's just your body doesn't allow it.
Yeah, no, but it's funny you say that. I did a seminar once with Gary Tonin, and he said that. He said like when he was training in the blue basement at the time, he'd tap more than anybody. He'd like put himself in positions, tap, and like he just didn't care, had no ego.
Otherwise, it's just gonna fuck up your body, because the problem is when you are exerting 100% of your muscles, and that's when you really want something. If you don't really want something, you don't have to exert so much strength. So it's basically it's not like also just like you are laying there like a dead fish, but it's never going to the extreme. It's like you lifting not to failure, the same thing as lifting not to failure. So you can basically train every day and still be fit.
And when you say it like that though, it sounds obvious, right? But it's hard sometimes, isn't it? You're on the mat and you go,
it depends on your goals again. It depends on your goal. My goal is to learn Jiu-Jitsu. So me winning a round, if I submit you because I'm going hard, I'm not seeing what's happening. If I'm not seeing what's happening, I'm learning less. I'm just learning to win. And my goal is not to learn to win. My goal is to learn Jiu-Jitsu.
That's interesting.
And therefore, like, it just depends on the mindset. Like, that's why I try to instill to my students is just never have the mindset to win unless you want to compete. Like, if you want to compete, then in that camp where you're preparing, you have to have the mindset, I'm going to win the rounds. But if you're focusing on your progression and you're just focusing on the win, it's first fucking up your body, and it's just, you're not going to learn as much because you are just so focused, I need to win, that you know, what happened? Why didn't I got the submission? Where did he have his hand? What was I on top? Was I on bottom? Like this, you can only recognize when you are more chill. And the only way to be more chill is you not having this stress about winning. So I guess that's
it. Makes perfect sense. So would you say like when you're getting ready for competition, there's a short window of time where it's like you're training for the win, but then most of your training is accumulating knowledge. And,
so 90% of my training is accumulating knowledge, and like 10% of my training. Actually, I only started last year in January was the first time I had camps, because I never had really a coach that prepared me for tournaments. So I'm like basically always self-taught from studying instructionals, like my wrestling, my leg locks, all of that is like self-taught. So I never had really a coach, and I was always coaching other people, and that was really fucked up because like it's so hard to like coach but at the same time spar hard, but then you're training hard with your students that you want to win, and then when you are winning you're taking their confidence out and your mindset is not really in. But now, especially since like I have not a gym where I'm coaching at, so I'm more focused on me, it's been much more easier to like just focus on me, because when you are a coach, like I didn't understand this because my mentality was always since the beginning to become a coach. So my focus was never really like on 100% just focus on me for a competition. But now that I don't have students, since I don't have a team, I can see the difference, like how it is to just train to yourself. Like, because I go train, I don't give a shit who is on the mats, I'm going to win. But when I was with a coach, it was like I'm rolling, but then at the same time I'm seeing is the other guy doing something stupid and they might get injured. Like I'm never hyper focused on me. So now it's much easier to just like focus on myself and to train for a competition. And now it's more training like 2-3 times a week hard, and then like I need a break because otherwise my body gets fucked up.
So would you look at it like 2 or 3 times a week is like training, and then the other times is like practice? Is it that kind of mindset?
Yeah, like it's like trying things out, like maybe hyper focusing on one thing more, like okay, in these rounds today I'm just not gonna let people engage. Like I'm gonna be the first one to engage in the guard. So I'm not going to let them like get into a passing position. I'm going to get my guard first. But then after that, I let a little bit more relaxed. So like being more hyper-focused in little things. But typically I just roll flow. Like that's why I also like to travel a lot. And I guess people find me friendly is because I never have that hyper-focus of winning the round.
Yeah, I could feel that today when we're rolling. Like you had me in a choke at one point, and there was an opportunity to crank, and I could feel you sort of more. You tell me, but it felt like more like you was adjusting your body and just feeling it out more than trying to just squeeze and go fucking.
It's just like we just met today.
Yeah.
And like if I'm going to, I'm not saying I could, but let's say if I wanted to just like squeeze to get that choke, like I don't even fucking know you, and I'm already like, it's like I'm asking you how much money do you win, and then I don't even got to know your name, you know? It's like, let me first know you, let's be friends, like, because in the end it's a martial art where we can get injured, and like there is, especially like I already lived like in Portugal, a lot of bullshit in the streets and people trying to rob and me getting stabbed and stuff like that. So like there was already so much hate that like in the round it should be fun, like get to know you, and when we have trust, then like we can try and go hard, because then I know there is no animosity. But but in the beginning, like it makes no difference. Like let's say I would have gotten the guillotine, like would have made this conversation not better. It would have not been like now you are here. Oh yeah, now I'm talking with the guy that guillotined me. It's like it makes no difference for me. So and maybe like I would have hurt your neck because you didn't want to tap, because maybe you had your ego, I have my ego. Now you are with a fucked up neck. Now my shoulder is hurting because I pressured too much the guillotine, and now we are both here doing the podcast completely fucked up.
And we're miserable. We don't talk to each other after. But like that today is like. When you come, and it's, I agree with what you're saying. When you go to gym sometimes and there's someone you can feel on the mat who's good, but they're also in that kind of, they're learning too, they're exploring the game and they're playing it. And that's what it felt like when I was with you. Do you know what I mean? Like I had a leg at one point, and similar to what you're saying, like rather than cranking, rather than driving and running across the mat and trying to get you there, it's like, I go this way, let's see what happens if I go this way. Let's see what happens. Oh, now I've got to worry about my neck because he's putting that guillotine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's that kind of, it was a real... It felt like learning rounds to me. Do you know what I mean? It felt like I got a lot from it versus like you say, I've had a great workout, but now my neck hurts.
And again, it's also part, but it's a martial art. So if you're gonna train like that every time and you don't know how to train, which training like this requires practice, it requires you having a little bit more understanding of what actually makes you better. Like you're just gonna get hurt, and then if you get hurt, you're not gonna like be training consistently, your progress is going to go down, your motivation is going to go down, you're just going to end up quitting.
Well, you hear that with people as well, right? They're like a blue belt and they've been training Jiu Jitsu for 10 years, but they're quick to tell you, like, I've had knee surgery, hip surgery, back surgery, this surgery, that surgery, because it's obvious what's happened, right? They've come in and they've gone fucking crazy and broke something, and they've never been able to get as good as they could have been if they'd just chilled a little bit, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's a lot also, in my opinion, is just the standards of coaching, like not being able to teach people how to basically progress in a safe way while keeping you motivated. That's something very hard, and that's one of my main goals as a coach, is being able to, my goal is not to like have competitors. My goal is just to like make anybody reach their potential.
Right.
And that's by just teaching them slowly how to train, because my biggest thing is the hobbyists and not the competitors, because the competitors, they are young, like they get hurt, tomorrow they are good. But it's more like the hobbyists, like how can they get better without like going balls to the wall, fucking hurting their knee because they train once a week. Like how can they learn in a more consistent way without having to go like super hard? And that's by like giving them small goals to work on during the sparring, so they do feel good, because you want to win.
Of course,
You always want to win. It doesn't matter.
And you never want to take that away either, right? You don't want to take someone away of like you turn up and you're just that guy that's like, I don't care.
No.
You got to get a balance.
No, you have to be able to win, because that's the only thing that keeps you, the main thing as a human being that keeps you motivated. It's like, I won. It's just the battles that make you win, changing them. That's what I'm really interested in. Like, not you get the tap. Like, if you today set the De La Riva 5 times and you can off balance him, you won.
Yeah.
And like in the beginning you might not understand this, but if you instill that mentality and they think that's a win, they are going to still like feel motivated and like they won. Instead of like, I needed to tap him and now I crank his leg and now he doesn't want to tap, so now I fucking broke his foot and now my arm hurts because I was pushing against his leg. Yeah.
But it's funny you say it, like sitting here listening to you. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, obviously. But then sometimes when you're out there on them match, you go, my leg's all right. I'll go, do you know what I'm saying? But it's important, man. It's so important. I think the way you're teaching, and like I've had this conversation like where I'm teaching white belts and stuff sometimes, where they're like, oh, you get that choke all the time. It's like, for starters, like you've just started. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's also like, I try and get them to do like the small victories. Like I think what you're saying, like you're like instead of like first time I just tapped you easy, the second time you turned a certain way and had to go to step 2 or step 3. That's a win, right? That's a win. You know what I mean? You're not expected to go in there, you get tapped, and then all of a sudden you're tapping everyone on the mat. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's small wins.
That's typically like, for example, I'm gonna be doing a seminar now on the front headlock submissions on Sunday, and like one of the main thing I tell them when they do like the positional sparring in the end is, because we are working submissions and we start already with the head, is like, I want you to tell a story. So I don't want you to just grab the neck and submit them, because that's going to be a boring story. No, that's like, hey, my name is Alex, end of the story. Nobody's going to buy that book. So, but if you want, I want you to tell a story. So that means I want you to maybe sweep him, let him turn left, let him turn right. Tell a big story, a story that somebody would buy that book from. And that's how like I'm the mentality. The mentality would be not, okay, we learned the guillotine, you just choke him and it's over. No, let's try to tell a story with the guillotine. Let's try to see where it can go. Can I sweep him? Can I mount him? Can I let him escape from the guillotine almost and then regain it? Like that's the type of mentality where you can get a win besides just like getting the tap. It's more like, get the win, but how long can I hold the head, and what adventures can I experience while holding the head? And that's a win. And then they get motivated because they're like, oh yeah, I was able to sweep him, and then after I swept him, I let him sweep me back, and then I was able to sweep him again, and then I was able to mount him, and then from mount I rolled back into this parallel position, and I let him roll again to front headlock, and then I submit him. It was really fun. I was able to like hold it for 30 seconds, and then I got the tap in the end. And that for me is much better than the guy grabbing the head, like with strength, cranking the neck, stuffing like that. So that's like an example. I like to say, like, tell a story is like one of an example.
That's cool. I like that, man. That's real cool, because like sometimes you get people in class, right, that are like, I don't know, they've come from, say, rugby background or something, and they're 110 kilos and they're fast. And it's like, you have to teach them different than you do the guy who's 40, weighs 60 kilos, he works in an office all week and he's never done anything before. They're the same level of jiu-jitsu, if you like, but they're not, are they? The other guy can train for 2 years and he's still not where that guy was on day one.
No. But that's each person has their own journey, no? Like like comparing yourself to the next person is gonna be fucked up.
Bad idea,
Especially, I know that's the best example for me, because I'm like I'm always fucking small, so I'm always like, fucking, this guy is fucking huge. Why can't I be as good as this fucking 95 kilo guy who's just bench pressing me out of side control? Like, if that mentality would probably not let me be here right now, because like in the end of the day, power beats everything. Like, I had to train 14 years to be able to like kind of scrap 100% with a white belt that weighs 110 kilos that has been dying rugby. If we are real, like in training, when there's no consequences, maybe I can beat them. But if I go to a competition with a 120 kilo rugby player that is just there to beat me in a 5-minute round, it's gonna be tough. Even though I've been training for 13 years, I'm realistic. I'm not this guy who like, I've been training for 14 years, I can beat everybody up. No. It's still gonna be fucking tough. Hard, I know how it is. Like, that's why, like, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'll tell you one thing that comes to mind. Like, Danaher spoke about, and I don't know if I'm getting it right 100%, but something along the lines of like, most of your rounds when you're training should be with people that you're better than, you're a higher level than, so you can kind of practice in a live role. Do you go with that sort of idea?
So my main concept in learning is I use what worked for me in lifting, which progressive overload.
Okay.
So that means, what am I working at? Am I working at a new move? I'm going to the white belt. I need a barbell without weights. Then am I trying to work my heel hook at the highest level, like to compete and to beat a black belt? Then I'm rolling with the black belt, because I'm already comfortable with my heel hooks. I already know my technique deadlifting. I already know I can put weight. Let's fucking try the PR. But if not, if I'm learning a move, I'm progressively overloading. So I'm taking, and it doesn't even like, belts is like, it has to be the guy that I know that I'm comfortable in under control, because the white belt can be as good as the purple belt, or it can be as pesi or as athletic. But that's like how I typically take my approach in training, is progressive overloading. And like if I can't even hit it on a white belt, is going even lower, like just drilling the move statically, then starting to drill the move with a bit of resistance, then moving into the white belt, to the blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. Like you can put the belts because it's more easier to understand.
Yeah.
But that's my approach is always progressive overload.
That's a really interesting way of looking at things there, because the other thing you mentioned there is drilling. Like some people love drilling. Some people, you go in the gym and all they want to do is drill for 3 hours, and like that's most of the. Some people go, I drill, do 2 reps and then fuck drilling. You know, where do you lie on the drilling side of things?
So I used to drill a lot before my injuries, but again, as I say, since because the drilling basically is just, can your body do the body movement? But since I've been training for 14 years, there are very little body movements that my body can't do already, because there are not so many body movements in Jiu-Jitsu to do. Like you have the forward heist, the shrimp, the bridge, the inversion, and then it's just different variations of these body movements, but with a person.
Right.
And so it's just recognizing. So right now, I'm able to skip a lot of the drilling phase, because if I'm able to drill it and I understand the movement without having to think about it, I immediately go to the white belt.
Right.
So I'm at a stage that I can get immediately to a white belt, because I can already move my body just by seeing the move.
Yeah.
But if, like, for example, like 2-3 years ago, I started to focus more on wrestling, because I never wrestled before. Like I never did any takedowns, and there I had to drill a lot, just because even with a white belt, I had to think too much about the setup, my posture, how my feet are, that during a live environment, it took me too long to think until I was able to act.
Yeah.
So I had to, due to the progressive overload, go back. Okay, I can't do it with the barbell. It's too difficult with the barbell. Let's just do it without the barbell. So I would maybe sometimes just literally do it by myself, then go with a partner with no resistance. Okay, now I understand the concept, I understand the mechanics. Now let's start doing it with the white belt, then with the blue belt, then with the purple belt. And it's always like the same approach that I take.
That's a really interesting way of doing things. I'm going to take that with me. I think that's a really cool way of doing it. But you mentioned with your lifting, I know you said you do 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. What does your lifting look like when you're talking about like your progressive overloads and whatnot? And you said before you don't exert yourself too much with the lifting.
So I learned this from a guy when I broke my jaw. He reached out to me. He's called Eric the Coach on Instagram. Shout out to him.
Shout out Eric.
Yeah, and he just reached out to me, and he basically gave me a plan, because before I was like any guy, any gym bro. I was just lifting, like, especially in the beginning, this going back way when I was 16 and fat. I just used to do bench because I thought I would lose my tits if I would
Makes
just
sense, yeah.
bench every day.
Just bench them tits away.
Yeah, it didn't work out. It was the Coke, if you remember in the beginning of the podcast.
That's Coca-Cola, by the way, guys.
Yeah, Coca-Cola, not Coke. Yeah, but yeah, he basically told me more about progressive overload, and then I also researched then a lot, like instructionals, because I like to then study a lot, and since I studied a lot instructionals in Jiu-Jitsu, I just did the same thing in lifting, a lot in YouTube, and a lot of people talk about progressive overload, or it was a bit more of a phase back then. But yeah, then he basically made me a plan, which was 3 times a week, bench, deadlift, squat, and then do accessory lifts. So 1 day deadlifting, 1 day benching, 1 day squatting, and then each of these days do some accessory lifts to help you do the main lift. And do 5 times 5 when it's for strength, and then do more reps when it's to get a bit bigger. And then just that, like...
Really simple, yeah.
Yeah, because actually it is really simple. Like in the beginning, you think it's more, and I would never get my results because my body was always so fatigued. And then when I got injured, I had to train more sporadically because my body couldn't sustain it. And that's when I saw really the results. That's when I was like, oh, fuck, actually, if I just train once and then rest for 2 days, I'm getting much bigger than training every day.
You talk crazy, man.
Yeah,
crazy talk. What the fuck are you saying?
If you rest, you actually grow. But like, it took me 10 years of lifting to understand this. Because I would be just, but... I'm gonna just lift today, fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was forced to take a break, I saw that it's actually that simple. You just like do a 45-minute lift, do your 5x5 benching, do some accessories, make sure like you're progressive overloading. So, and it's, however, that's how I then set it up in jiu-jitsu, because progressive overload in lifting can be put more weight, but it could be slow down your rep. It could be do more reps. Like there's so many ways you can play within your progressive overload that you don't have to put specifically more weight, which in jiu-jitsu you might think progressive overload might be just go stronger, but you can play a lot around with it. Even if it's like I'm working my guard retention. Progressive overload might not be moving from the white to the blue, might be doing using not your hands with the white belt. Because the bad thing in jiu-jitsu, the bad thing is that you can't choose your training partner. You sometimes have a white belt, sometimes you have the blue belt. But if you want to, no, I really wanted to work now with blue belts, my guard retention, but you're only getting the beginner white belts, how can you still progress? Okay, progressive overload. I can't get more weights, in this case a blue belt, so let me take something out for me. So let's make maybe the reps slower. How do I make the reps slower? I'm just going to play guard retention with my legs. No, I'm still working with a white belt, but I'm making it a bit harder for me. Therefore, I'm progressing a little bit more. So it's finding ways to keep the progression, and that comes a lot from lifting. And yeah, now it's a little bit harder to lift because I've been traveling a lot. The last 5 months I've been traveling a lot, UK, everything. So I can't really find that routine of lifting again 3 times a week. But yeah, let's see.
When you're in the
Hoping
UK, bro, come talk to me. I've got
Yeah.
plenty of gyms I can
Yeah?
get you in. We'll,
Okay.
we'll do our lifting together. Yeah. But so, like, with your students and stuff,
Yeah.
do you do much outside of jiu-jitsu with them in terms of, like, writing them programs or encouraging them to lift and stuff? Or are you
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
how you do?
100%.
Yeah.
So with my students, like I not only push them to lift. I'm not an expertise lifter, but I try to teach conceptually also in jiu-jitsu. So I just try to teach the concepts that the coach taught me, and then I emphasize, just like in jiu-jitsu, learn by yourself.
Right.
Like I'm just a tool, and you're gonna be able to then use these tools that I'm giving to you to start improving, but you have to start taking the initiative. So I would push them to lift, push them to do Instagram, push them to market themselves. Like this all has to be like this, depending on, we're talking more about the competitors, like, because
Right,
the
of course,
hobbyists
yeah.
like push to lift and stuff like that. But again, if I want to be one of the best coaches, there's to be, how can I improve your life in all the aspects that I can manage? Because I'm not going to be there for every step of your life, but there's definitely parts that I can help you due to my experience. So whatever I see, depending on the person, I will push them to it. So in this case, if it's a competitor, I make them, they were pretty mad because they don't like to use Instagram and stuff like that. But I was like, look at yourself in 5 years, like nobody's gonna know you. You want to open your school, you want to do privates, you want to do seminars. Like I know this is all cool, but if you don't do Instagram, like then how are you gonna do this? And when you then decide to do it, now you have to do it from scratch. Start doing once a week, once a month, because then when you really need to do it, you already have the experience, so you don't have to, like, you already know how to do it. Yeah, and then lifting, and I specifically don't eat the healthiest, but like trying to push them to how to eat a little bit healthier, if they can get a nutritionist and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I've never been still in a financially good position, but I would always, my dream is to be in a position where I can give them all that they need. In this case, the people who want to live from jiu-jitsu, which is like physiotherapy, like lifting, like having a nutritionist. Because if you do this from the beginning, you can learn it, and then you can just apply it by yourself. Because like I'm very thankful to my coach, that my lifting coach, because he helped me, and now I'm able to apply what he learned and not have him there. So that means that's always a good thing, because now, even though sometimes I don't have time to visit him, like for example for the last year or something like this, I can still train myself from what he taught me. So that's what I'm, And I experienced that, so that's what I'm just trying to push to them, is like, if you just learn it a bit, then you just learn the concepts, and then you can just start to apply it yourself.
Yeah.
And then like, if you did like for a month a nutritionist program, like you can start of kind of getting, okay, this is what I have to eat, this is what's protein, this is what's this is what's that. Yeah, so typically push my students to keep motivated and how they would improve according to their goals.
That's
Like
interesting, man.
yeah,
Rule number one, no Coca-Cola.
yeah, yeah.
But it's interesting sitting here, and hopefully we'll do this again at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe we sit down in 5-10 years,
Yeah.
and you'll be like the new Danaher that's sort of taken over, and everyone's like, "There's this fucking crazy guy in Berlin." Oh my god!
No.
But that might be you, bro, because the way I'm sitting here talking to you now and
Yeah.
listening is
Yeah.
you know, it's really interesting, because it's not just like turn up, I'll teach you a technique, because we all know that, right? If you turn up and I could show you the best armbar,
Yeah.
like let's spar,
Yeah.
get me in the armbar. You
Yeah.
go, well, how the fuck can I get in an armbar?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
you're teaching, or it sounds like you're teaching like a concept of winning every day without winning every day.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So you're winning on for you, but
Yeah.
you're not winning necessarily points.
Yeah.
The outside
Yeah.
doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, 1% better. That's my motto.
Yeah.
If you get 1% better a day, like, in consistent is what's gonna make you better. So if you just keep doing it and with the mindset of getting 1% better a day, in 5 years you're gonna see how incredible you can become. And like this is for me, because again, as I said in the beginning, like when I came to Berlin, I was pretty depressed. Like when I was young, I was like, my father died when I was young, so I was a lot in the street and hanging out with the wrong people, and like having just no sight of what I can do with my life. I guess like everybody's journey, and just lost in life. And like jiu-jitsu just showed me that like you can improve, and if you just get better little by little, like things start changing. Because like it didn't change from one day to another, that I went from a fat like loser into like slowly becoming a little bit more confident in myself. But just like that, slowly getting better in the jiu-jitsu mats just made me understand how I can do that outside the mats, and how if I just focus on just slowly getting better, at some point, like it is a big difference. Like maybe I didn't see that in the first months when I came to Berlin and I wanted to kill myself, but after 1 year I was happy, and I was like meeting people, and I was like, and that came from just like slowly improving. And like the world is full of shit, so if we can just try to make it a little bit better.
And we're all misfits in jiu-jitsu anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fucking.
We'll talk about conspiracies in a bit, because jiu-jitsu people love a conspiracy. And I love listening to people talk about conspiracies.
Yeah.
But before we get to any of that kind of crazy stuff, like ADCC and CGI, is it CJI, right?
CJI, yeah.
Not
Craig Jones
CGI, something
yeah.
different. Yeah. CJI this year
Yeah.
came up. Like, is that anything on your radar for yourself competing, or are you not looking at that kind of stuff?
I'm definitely not.
You're not looking. You're more like coaching wise, but you keep an eye on. Like, did you watch them events?
Oh no, I watch everything. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm still. My goal is still to win at least once the ADCC trials. So I did it this year in Zagreb. I was able to do 4 fights, but then I was like mentally shut, and I unfortunately lost the 4th fight quite quickly. But my goal is still to win ADCC trials at least once, to go to ADCC. But yeah, my goal is to coach, and like, I'm 31 again. At 31, at the 66 kilo division, like if you can see the guys at like Owen Jones is 19, Diego Reyes is like 21 or 22. You have who is also there in the top. Like all these guys are like pretty much under 30. Like maybe I don't want to say anything, because I don't want him to feel bad. But I think Ashley Williams is over 30 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he's, yeah.
But he's maybe like the only one, or maybe the Dagestani guy, but Dagestani guys, like their 30s is still like their 25s. Yeah, but yeah, and my division is pretty hard. Like if I would be 90 kilos, I could still like think about competing pretty hard, because you can go up to 35, 36 and still be in your prime. Yeah, but my goal is just coaching. Yeah, my goal is to become one of the best coaches in the world. That's been my main focus since I'm a blue belt. Like competition is just a supplement for me.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
But you do compete a lot as well, which is mad.
You need to compete, because if I want to help my student, I have to have experienced anything that he will experience in the future, and that means injuries, that means depression, that means winning, that means losing, that means preparing, that means the butterflies in your stomach, that means the cheers of like the joy of winning, and and like the eating after, like all of this stuff is things I need to experience to be able to pass down to my students if they want to experience.
Because you've been there, you've already trod the path.
That's why I want to at least do one MMA fight. I wanted to do, but I broke my jaw. But I still want to do one MMA fight, because just in case I have a student that says that he wants to start experiencing or joining MMA, I just want to be able to like be there for him with some experience. And if I want to be one of the best coaches, I need to have all this experience under me. You don't have to specifically, like Danaher never competed and stuff like that. But I think then there are things that Danaher doesn't do. For example, when he's coaching, he's very quiet and stuff like that. I think maybe that's because he never competed. Because typically when you compete, in my experience, especially as a coach, you want somebody that is really, you feel that he's there. Like he's there for you almost like he's like your babysitter just for that day. And like, for example, somebody like Danaher, he's always like very quiet when he's in the competitions and stuff like that. You never hear him like coaching and stuff. He's like more like, you've trained in the training room, now it's your turn.
Yeah.
But I think that comes a lot from me personally. I think from him not competing.
Right.
Because from me competing, I know how much it is the difference when you have a coach that not only knows what he's coaching, but is making his presence there, that you are not alone.
Yeah,
and like
he's with you. He's in there with you.
And that's only something you can feel when you already competed. Like if you've competed and you've had a day where you had nobody there, and you had a day where there's somebody like saying, no, Alex, I believe in you. No, near side underhook, near side underhook. Let's go. We know how hard you train. Like these small things, like depending on the mindset of the competitor, like some people like less pressure or not, but like these things really make a difference. But you only know them if you experience them yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because what just came to mind is like, I was asked recently, a friend of mine, Tom Farag, shout out Tom Farag, he's got his own podcast, Chat with a Martial Artist. He had a boxing match coming. My background was boxing. And he said to me, the fight was on the Saturday, he said to me on the Friday, are you busy tomorrow night? Well, you know, whatever. Anyway, long story short, his corner had dropped him out and fucked him off. You know, I don't know who they are. If there was, I'd mention your name, you scumbag. Fuck you. But anyway, they let him down. And so I went and done his corner. And it was very much like that. Just me, turned up, in his corner, you know, with the bucket. And like, I'm in the corner and I'm sitting there. And I haven't fought boxing myself for years now, over about 10 years, like an actual fight. But I'm sitting there, and exactly that came out. Like, you know, like the simple things that you just like, that's what I wanted to say. Like, you know, because you saw some coaches, not specifically there, but sometimes you see coaches going, right hand, left hook, move to the left, go this way. And you're like, bro, chill the fuck out. Too much. He ain't taking none of that in. Tell him to jab. Stop. Slow down. And I was trying to go, jab, give yourself space, jab. And he won the fight. So shout out again for Tom, good man.
Shout out.
Which makes me want to know as a boxing corner man. But no, it was just a great experience, because it was like that. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, what can I say? And then at the same time, I'm kind of like, you don't need to fill their brain. Jab. Watch his right hand, move to the left. Do you know what I mean? Simple things that are clear and give him enough, but concise. Not too much. Yeah, exactly.
But like if you never experience it, like, because I already was like fighting and I had somebody like saying, de la riva, reverse de la riva, into an armbar, into, pass, here, do this. And then like fucking, my brain is everywhere. So like now I know, okay, if I am coaching, I have that experience of like, okay, if I'm overloading him with just techniques, if I felt frustrated, I know that he probably will feel frustrated. So that's what I mean with just competing, is just for having all of this experience that I can give like a good coaching to all of my students.
And it's case by case, I think, too, right? Different students, you need to know, because again, like another experience I had, and not to make it about me, but like when I was boxing once, my boxing coach was one of them that's always telling you how shit you are. How you're fucking shit you are. You're lazy. You're this, all the time. And I was in a bout once, and he was Sid Khan. This is, so shout out Sid, great coach. He was I think it was at Ellsfield, our club, but he was like, I was kind of not doing as good as I could have done, and it was a round to go, and it was like, you know, whatever. And he's like, as I say, he's used to going, you're shit, you're fucking, to me. And he came in, he just put his forehead on my forehead and was like, do you want me to fucking stop this fight? And I was like, what? No, what the fuck? And he basically, I can't remember word for word what he said, but he was like, fucking just fuck. Like, technique was gone. It was just go and fucking do it. And anyway, I ended up winning the battle. I think I knocked him over in the last round and I won on points.
Congrats.
But it was like, but I was like 19 or 20, but it was like, you know, when you go like, it was one of them moments the coach really played into it because I was almost like feeling sorry for myself a little bit. Like, this is, you know, whatever, I'm not doing so good. But it was like, he fucking believes in me this time. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, fucking hell, because like he spends all the time telling me
how you're shit.
Fucking useless, you know. And that's not always, but for me it was like he obviously saw that's what you need, you know what I mean? But if he'd have gone to me, oh, you're doing great, don't worry about it, I'd have probably lost. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's a simple, as I say, I was like 19, 20. But I think things like that, the coach knowing you goes a long way. And when you're saying like you got your students and you do this for them, you do that for them, and you want to create this environment. Compared to someone who turns up to a dojo 3 times a week and the coach goes, hi, cool. Sign up here, pay your membership. I'll see you next time. Yeah,
but it's financially more feasible. That's why
problem,
I'm fucking poor.
This is the Poor Man's Podcast, guys. But it'll pay off eventually. Do you know what I'm saying? Because but it will do because people are going to want to train with you, right? People want to go to that environment where, and listen, not everyone can be winners, right? But you can go to an environment where you feel good and it's fun. Like again, we keep mentioning Danaher, but Danaher said once something along the lines of, like, people say how great of a coach he is and whatnot, but how many truly great competitors has he got? And it was like Gordon Ryan, I think he said Gary Tony, he mentioned some names, but he was like, I've trained thousands and thousands of people. He was like, the coach can't take all the credit. It's the student is special, 100%. You know?
Yeah, and again, I'm not focused like on the competitor, like I'm just focused really like on making you better.
Yeah.
So I don't care, like if you compete, I push competition just because I know it's going to make you better. Not because I want to make competitors. It's because I want to make you better.
And everyone's potential is different too, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like someone can't come in and you go, I'll make you world champion. It's not for some people. Do you know what I mean? They're never going to get
it. That's, as you said, 1 in 1,000.
1 in a million, yeah.
I just want you to compete because it's going to make you get out of that comfort zone. And that's what a lot of people, my background, like in Portugal, like I was more people that are not have such a comfortable life, so they put themselves more out, like living in the street and stuff like that. Not living in the street, but like hanging out in the streets and doing street stuff. But like here, like in Berlin, people are very comfortable and they live like a very comfortable life, and like the pushing them out of their comfort zone makes them a better person. And like competition is not like I want them to have a competition team and they're gonna win everything. No, I want them to get out of their comfort zone and see that it's okay. It's okay to experience new stuff. It's okay to go in front of somebody and compete. It's because all in your mind. If you don't take it as a competition, it's the same thing as training. So that means that when you have this new job interview, let's say, you can just put it as the same thing. This is just the same thing as me going to work yesterday. This is just now, it's a different setting, but I don't have to be scared. It's just in my mind. And competition is what, for me, makes a person improve a lot, is this mindset. Plus, I always say competition is like 3 months, because like if you go to training and I armbar you, you're gonna forget as you go home. If you go to a competition, somebody armbars you in front of your friends and stuff, you're gonna remember it. So you're probably gonna work on your armbar defense. So it's like 3 months, because maybe it took you 3 months of getting armbarred for you to understand, and in training for you to understand, maybe I should work on my armbar defense. But it takes you 1 tournament. Or your trust. If you pass somebody with a knee cut in a tournament and you win a gold medal with a knee cut, your knee cut just improved drastically, because now you believe in it. I guess the same thing in boxing. No, if you fucking knock out somebody with a right hand, you're gonna be like, my right hand is fucking powerful now. And that's for me the main thing in terms of competition, is just the mind.
It's true, because you know what, one thing I've encountered, like seeing in people, is like it's okay to try. Like some people go to competitions you see and they kind of don't try. They kind of shut down because they're like, they almost don't want to put the effort out, because then if they try and they lose, it's worse.
That was my freaking.
Do you see what I mean? Like there's an element of that, and like where it's okay sometimes to go out and really try and end up losing. It doesn't matter. You tried. Do you see where I'm coming from with that?
I had my first like fucking 10 tournaments was close guard top or close guard bottom. If I was on top, too scared to stand up to open the guard, so it was 5 minutes just in close guard. Or close guard bottom, too afraid to try an armbar or a sweep, because I was like, no, if I open up my legs, he might pass and then I lose. So I know exactly what you mean. And then like at some point I was like, fuck it, okay, in this tournament I'm just gonna try. And I lost, but I tried. And then the next tournament I won, because I was like, oh, okay, it's okay. I can try stuff.
I think there's importance to that too, because there's nothing worse than seeing that. You know, where someone's really good in the gym.
Yeah, and then they go
to compete,
and then they freeze.
And they don't do anything. And it's not, it's weird. It's like they don't believe in themselves. There's a guy, I won't mention his name because of what I'm about to say, but he's black belt, really high level in the Ghee, but doesn't compete. And it's because of psychological. Yeah. And he's unsure of himself. Yeah. But if you see him in the fucking gym, you'd think like, this is like a wizard. He'd be like world champion. Like he's unbelievable. And anyone who's trained with me knows what I'm talking about. But it's it's a weird thing, isn't it? It's a strange thing. And then there's some people that go the other way. Where you see them in the gym and they're just a bit of a spazzer and they get tapped all the time. Yeah. But they go to competitions and
they believe.
Like, how the fuck did you get a gold medal?
Yeah, they just believe. Yeah. Because competition is not, I always say competition is not jiu-jitsu. Competition is competition.
Right.
Like you are good in competition doesn't mean you're good in jiu-jitsu. You're good in jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you're good in competition. Because competition for me is 80% mindset. If I fucking go there, again, of course, if you don't know nothing and you're competing at a black belt person, you're going to get destroyed. But like, if you're going to compete, typically you are at the same level of the belt you're going to be competing. So it's going to be, if I go there and I believe I'm going to fucking destroy this guy, typically you're going to win. That's where I'm typically problems in my competition, because I'm always like, oh fuck, look at the bicep of this guy. He looks strong. Fuck, he might do this, he might do that, I might lose, I suck. But then the other guy comes and he's just like Gordon says, like he has just a supreme confidence. He just gets there and he just does what he does. Yeah. So I think competition for me is 80% mindset, in my opinion.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Especially like you see this more in striking.
Yeah,
like
big time.
Yeah, like
scary place. Like in that change room beforehand.
Yeah.
Like that is like, and everyone seems to say the same thing. You know, like even the best guys, you sit there and you're in that changing room, and it's a bit like, oh fuck, am I doing this for again? Like, never again. This is the last one. But then if you win, you're like, fuck it, next week, let's go, son. You know what I mean? And it changes things. But that mindset is like, and you can see different people as well. Yeah. And like I've been in change rooms with some people, and this is not me at all. Like when getting ready to go out for a boxing match, some people sitting like me and you, they're chilled, they get their hands wrapped, and they go out and they fight. That, for me, I'm like fucking everything. It's like the ground's hot. I can't sit still. I'm like, don't fucking leave me alone.
Fucking the 20 pisses you have to
20 pisses at least. I can do my hand wraps, put them back on. Like fucking, don't talk to me. Shut up. Leave me alone. All that kind of stuff. I don't understand these cool, calm people. But, you know, each their own.
It took me so long. Like I used always to have like 1.5 weeks before the tournament. I would be like, already not being able to sleep and stuff. Like really? It took me like 5 years, 6 years to understand ways of not feeling this, because you like hyper focus what's gonna happen, and then you're like, oh no, he's gonna choke me, and then like you start going through your mind, okay, but I knee cut him, and then your mind goes to no, but then he got an underhook and then he swept you and now he has your back. So I used to be a real scaredy pants, and like,
but it's funny, everybody is, I think everybody seems to say the same thing. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, most people are the same, aren't they? And that was one thing someone said to me once, you know, in a boxing change room again, and I don't know if I was getting ready to fight, I was in a boxing change room, it might have been for someone else, and they were saying he feels the same, bro. He's down the fucking corridor in another room, and he feels exactly the same as you. And it's true, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's going through the same. It's not like you're scared and he's like, that's all right, no problem. And he's coming out like, you know, too slick Rick. He's fucking
I don't know. That's the interesting part.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that feeling, so I don't know how it is to be super confident.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that definitely would make a difference, and definitely there are people that can do it.
I wonder though if it's a benefit. Being nervous beforehand gives you something, I think. You know what I mean?
It's just how you can use it.
I think a big part of it as well is understanding you're going to feel that way. You know, when you've got more experience.
That's how I feel.
It never goes away. You're always scared.
No, I'm scared. It's just
always.
Like,
but you know you're going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's
whatever.
more, you just have to, I kind of learned that from like therapy, where they tell you like, if you keep the negative thoughts and you don't push yourself to push into positive thoughts, it's just going to loop and keep that negative thoughts. Like you slowly have to say, no, I'm comfortable with myself. No, I'm fit. I'm intelligent. I can do it. Like if you don't do it this yourself, you're just gonna keep in a negative loop. And I started implementing that a little bit, like into the competition. Like before the competition, when I was like, what if I'm gonna lose? I had to force the positive thoughts. Like no, I'm gonna win. But that comes from experience. But before I was like, the negative sort start, and it would just go bigger and bigger and bigger, and in the end my tummy would be like that butterflies in your belly, and you'd be, oh fuck, I don't want to compete.
It's funny, because also you sometimes like old fighters that can't do it anymore because they're 50, 60, whatever. and they look back on them times and they go like, you know, it was scary at the time, but fuck, I'd give anything to have that feeling again. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's funny because you're a long time old, right? After you finished. So it's interesting. You're never gonna replicate that feeling again, are you? But like going back briefly to like the CJI and thing. No, the reason I bring it up more is because obviously it came about because of money side of things, right? Really, people might argue, but it was a money thing, right? And then, but it changed from ADCC in terms of the format as well, really, right? It was rounds, it was in a pit, and before I asked you about rules in general, what did you think about all that stuff?
In terms of what, if I like the CJI approach? Man, I think it was very good for the sport. I think just putting something out there like that just makes everybody hopefully get more money in the future. And like, I must say, like, it was pretty exciting. Like, it was the most exciting tournament I probably watched. Cool. I like the pit because it makes people, at least, I don't see how they could play it as much in terms of making the fight more stally. But it looks like it makes the fighting more entertaining. And that's what we need to make just more money come into the sport, is how entertaining can we make, again, competing for like, we are not in the Olympics and stuff like that, but in the let's say in the IBJJF, fuck it, make it like as stally as you guys want, because there is also no money there and it's not televised, but like, something like CJI or something like this, just making it as fucking entertaining as possible, less stalling, make money, put money there, pay the athletes. And I think what CJI did with the pit, like people not having to run, because I think a lot of the fights, like sometimes in ADCC with playing around in the edge of the mat, and it's fucking so unsafe. Like I know, I kind of like it. Besides when I'm fighting ADCC, I find it stupid when I'm fighting. I find it super cool when people are doing it. But whenever I have people that are my friends, like you taking people down outside of the mats in that fucking floor and slamming them against tables, like it's gonna be until one guy dies that they realize, oh fucking, this is definitely not smart. So I think the CJI, the pit, what Craig Jones did was, pretty good for us.
What do you think is the best environment you could do for jiu-jitsu? Would you have a bigger mat, or how would you do it?
I would say what Craig Jones did.
Not a cage or anything. You wouldn't have a cage.
No, because like the cage takes the visibility a little bit out for people watching. Right. So that takes a little bit down. And the filming, again, if you're not inside the mats filming, if you're outside, the cage sometimes blocks it a little bit.
Yeah, I got you.
So I like I like the pit, to be honest.
Do you remember Metamoris back in the day? It had like a platform.
But it's dangerous.
I don't like that. I was going to say, that's dangerous to me.
It's like ADCC, but the mat is bigger. I actually don't know what is more dangerous. Probably Metamoris is more dangerous. I think
Metamoris, because the one thing that I thought once is like if someone drove for a takedown off the stage and you caught them in sort of like a half shitty guillotine, you can end up in a bad spot landing off of that kind.
Have you seen the floors in the ADCC
Cool,
trials?
you go across,
the floor is not like...
That's what I mean,
it's not a matted floor, it's like sometimes like stone
concrete
floor. Yeah, and that fucking hurts.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that head slamming on that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think the pit is probably the most entertaining, in terms of looking. I think just ADCC probably make the mats a little bit bigger in terms of the world.
Would you have an area where the mat is and then outside of it's still matted? Could be a possibility, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then when you go out of that, you get stopped, you get reset, but it's still matted outside. It's just not the area.
Just for the safety, because then they have... the tables right there, you see tons of people like falling against the table.
You can't have that. That's shit. And like a level like that, the best guys in the world. And
it looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks exciting.
It does, but also if you don't do jiu-jitsu, it looks fucking amateur too, because you're looking at it going, that looks kind of shit, right?
I don't know.
You like it? Yeah, fuck it, throw him through the table.
No, but if you see UFC, it's all fucking drunk people saying, fucking kick him in the dick, kick him in the dick. So I think they probably like that. They're probably more excited.
But the problem is with like MMA, a lot of people that don't do MMA, not got any desire, would never do it, still watch it. Like jiu-jitsu, I spoke about this again a few times, but with Robert yesterday. Like if you don't do jiu-jitsu, you're not going to watch jiu-jitsu, most likely.
Like you think, most likely, but I think a tournament like CJI is more friendly, spectator friendly for people that don't do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
You don't think like the Andrew Tackett matches would be?
Yeah, do you know what I think?
I don't know because I do jiu-jitsu, so
it's hard. You're screwed. But I tell you one thing that I think would make it, and I've spoke about this loads of times. Is I was my friend who does an event Entity in the UK. He does like 5-minute rounds, judge's decision. That's it. And it's just exciting because you don't have to know. Because first of all, it's 5 minutes. So people can essentially fucking go hard for 5 minutes. Me and you know we're only going to roll for 5 minutes. That's all we're doing. We're going to fucking have it, right? It's going to be fast paced. That's where I think it could be more like, because we're not necessarily looking for, put my hook in this side and 2 points. None of that shit. It's at the end, the ref goes, and some of them were close. Because what was good too is a lot of the matches were white and blue belts. So they've not got the experience to sort of game plan. They're just going fucking nuts. And at the end, there was a few times where the ref kind of gets both hands and you can see him thinking about it and he goes, that one. And to me, I think there's an element that's quite good because people go after it and these guys were going fucking mad.
Yeah, you mean I forgot about the part about CJI that they had the judge part. Yeah, I don't know. I think, but basically, I think ADCC and CJI are quite entertaining. I think if you put the ADCC in a pit, would also be quite entertaining. But then it's like, since it's a tournament for more weight classes, it's going to be way more difficult. It's not going to be like plausible to have 4 CJI mats because it would be too big.
Right.
And then if you have one weight class at a time, it's like a 10-hour event.
But could you do it a bit more like the Olympics, have it over several days?
Yeah, but the thing is, do a lot of people...
Yeah, it's probably, there's no right answer. Do you know what I mean? It's hard, isn't it?
But I think a lot of people watch the Olympics. No, a lot of people watch the Olympics. I'm not sure. Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But they don't make no money.
Yeah.
But again, they do make money, but they just don't pay the athletes. So so I'm not sure. I like how CJI is. I like if they keep it ADCC, the prestige it has, but make it like more like you are winning like the Olympics, and CJI is like you are an entertainer, I guess. But then it's always gonna lose the value of what the DCC is.
And also, if you're paying people a lot of money in CJI,
well, they have to pay more money.
They're gonna lose. ADC is gonna go away eventually because people are gonna go unless you're like Gordon Ryan, where money's no issue, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you're someone who's no names, but you're a high level black belt, but you still have to teach privates and whatever. Where are you gonna go? You're gonna go CJI.
You need to like ADCC, like fucking. You see when Craig Jones was posting all this fucking sports. Like that, there's a sport where there's a lot of, it comes a lot on Instagram, at least this year, where she's riding like a wooden horse, you know? Have you ever seen that? That world championships, they win. I think they win like $500,000 or something like that.
Nuts, yeah.
So they win more money like riding a fake horse than like men and women fucking fighting to the death in like grappling. Like, come on, like give more than $10,000 fucking dollars, Like if they just pay more, which I definitely think they will be paying more.
I think they have to now.
It's feasible.
Especially it's ADCC, for anyone who doesn't know, is Abu Dhabi, right? The first A and D. It's like they got money, bro. They got money. Pay the guys, you know.
Yeah. And Craig Jones showed that you don't have to, even with the money that they have right now, they can still pay more.
I think.
And they paid more because they paid under the table money to some of the highest.
Of course they do, yeah. And I think you've got to raise the level of jiu-jitsu because like to make jiu-jitsu really sort of keep, I know it's exploded massively even in my time. I've been training jiu-jitsu 10 years and the level's gone. But like to make it to the next level, it's like someone said to me on here, this isn't my thing, I'm not trying to sound clever, but like if you think of Roger Federer, he's a professional tennis player.
Yeah.
He doesn't teach private tennis lessons on the side to make a living. But a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that are professional, they're not really professional if you compare it to that, are they? Do you know what I mean? They've still got to teach privates, they've still got to run seminars. They don't get to just like Gordon Ryan it and just go home.
Yeah, but it has a little bit maybe unfair to say this, but that's still kind of the beauty of jiu-jitsu, no?
Okay.
That's like you can come and train with Gordon Ryan.
Of course, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like still, it's fucked up because that means like the guy has to like work more, but like that's kind of what's so interesting in jiu-jitsu is like not only are you like with the guy that is a doctor and with the guy that is a millionaire and the guy that cleans toilets, you are also with like rolling with the best in the world. Like
it's true. It's true.
And like the more it's this separation, the more it becomes more of, it's never going to be individual, but more it becomes, because that's what I like about jiu-jitsu is like kind of this utopia where there is, again, I know there is everywhere a little bit, but there is not so much discrimination in terms of race, in terms of your salary, in terms of your background. It's kind of one of the only safe havens that I personally felt because my father and mother were hippie, and that's another safe haven. Not anymore. It's starting to be like less like that. It's starting to be more individualized as the hippie, but that was another safe haven where, irregardless where you come, your religion, your background, whatever it is, was like a place where just everybody can hang out, regardless. And like, because my mother and father used to do one of the biggest trance festivals in the world in Portugal called Boom Festival, and it's like the festival has 156 different nationalities during the 7 days, so it's like kind of like being in a jiu-jitsu environment. And the more it gets professionalized, or I don't know, goes to the Olympics or stuff like that, it's not privatized anymore, it's more like judo. I think the more it loses that beauty of it.
That's interesting. Yeah,
because like judo is just competitors, wrestling is just competitors.
Yeah.
Like then if you have just the place where the rich guys are, like jiu-jitsu is that place where you, like, even though there's so much fucked up in the world, and you turn on the news and this guy is talking shit about this religion, this race, the poor people, the rich people, you come to the mat in jiu-jitsu and it's like we can all talk, and then we can all see that we are the same people, and therefore like bring down a little bit less of that like differences in the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of am saying that it's unfair from one side, but it's still kind of cool. Like that you can just go, like I went to fucking Roger Gracie like 2 months ago, and then he was there, and Charles Negromonte was there, and there's so many Gracies, but the Gracie that is now training there, the younger one, something with the R also, he was also there. And it's like, oh crazy, like I can just be with one of the goats while training, like I'm just a random guy and I can train with one of the goats and stuff like this. That's quite kind of, that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and you don't want to lose that kind of authenticness about jiu-jitsu, right?
Because it's not so much in like boxing and stuff like that. Maybe you can do the pads and stuff like that, but there's not that training when you're sweating in each other's mouths and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're punching each other, and that makes, it's more damage, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like if me and you go and spar and you tap me 5 times,
you're gonna get angry.
But it's like if you tap me 5 times, there's no real consequence as long as I'm not an idiot and let my arm break.
I thought you tap you with the
No, I mean like in jiu-jitsu, like if you tap me 6 times,
it's 10 just your ego. It's just your ego.
I go home fine. Whereas in boxing, if you knock me out 6 times, that's not good, is it?
And you're gonna go harder on me.
Yeah, of course you are.
And then in the end, we're gonna be this fucking idiot,
But the boxing side, and there's exceptions, and it's changing a little bit now. But like when I started boxing as a teenager, it wasn't such a learning environment like jiu-jitsu. Like if I come in here beginner, never trained before, you're going to teach me. You're not going to fuck me up and see if I come back. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas boxing's a bit like, hey, go on, get in the ring, see how you do. You know, come back next week. You know.
Well, I got knocked out the second time I tried kickboxing,
which is crazy, isn't it? You know, it's crazy. I did hear a story once of someone going to a first jiu-jitsu. I won't mention who it was. He's well known, but he went to a famous guy's jiu-jitsu class, and he choked him unconscious on day 1.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've never heard any kind of crazy stories.
I know. Well, I can tell you a crazy story. Because jiu-jitsu started in Portugal. That's where I was born and raised, and started training jiu-jitsu. Started with a guy called Sandro Bala, and this guy, there was no jiu-jitsu in Portugal, and this guy came to Portugal with his jiu-jitsu and opened up a gym. And might be some things might be here and there, because I don't know. From being there, it's only things I heard. But he basically started importing a lot of ex-criminals from Brazil to Portugal with like a sport visa. And he started building up a mafia where they would go to bars and extort people for money. So that's how jiu-jitsu started in Portugal. Was him building like his mafia, and then like that's where my coach started training there. And again, I'm still not 100% sure if this is completely like this, but it was kind of like his first training. The coach, this Brazilian guy, broke his arm. He had to take a 3 months break. He came again, broke his other arm. And again, when we say breaks in jiu-jitsu, it's like pops, but it's still like you are injured for like 3 months. But like that was my first coach's experience in jiu-jitsu, was getting his arm popped in one arm, getting his arm popped in the other arm. And he was like an undercover police guy. And like this guy, the Sandro Bala that opened up, like was a big thing. They like then took him down. He had to deport back to Brazil. And then in Brazil, they made a film about him. It's crazy stuff like that. That's why in Portugal in the beginning, people didn't like jiu-jitsu, because they had the image of like
gangsters and stuff.
Gangsters and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's like kind of how the environment started, and like going back to getting choked there. Yeah, my first coach got his 2 arms popped in the first
That's fucking
2
terrible.
training.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. Fucking chill out, guys. Huh? Chill out, tap early.
Yeah. No.
But I had one. I've told it on here before. But like I had one once when I was coaching, teaching a class. I think it might have been an open mat, but someone I'd taught a lot.
Yeah.
And I had him in a heel hook, but he was a white belt, so I just kind of chilled.
Yeah.
And then he went crazy the wrong way, so I let go and I caught it the other side. And he went crazy the wrong side again, and I lost my temper. I was like, bro, fuck it. More because I panicked for me, right? I nearly ripped his knee off twice. But I was like, fuck's sake, fucking use that. And people afterwards like, chill out, bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. You get excited on the mat. But as I alluded to earlier, Jiu-Jitsu guys love a conspiracy theory, and some guys bring them up on here. Are you a conspiracy guy by any chance?
Unfortunately, I don't have so much information to be able to go deep into it.
We don't need information, bro. You know, just like, tell a crazy story, it'll be fine.
No, to be honest, my mind is always racing into Jiu-Jitsu, so I have a lot of like, I dive very loosely into that type of stuff.
Flat earth or round earth?
Yeah. Okay. So I take more time like studying instructionals than like trying to think if the fucking the earth is flat. It's definitely round.
Oh, you said definitely, not maybe.
No, it's definitely round. It's definitely round. Watch some instructionals instead of fucking studying if the earth is fucking flat.
We got to educate this guy, I think.
And we never went to the moon, I guess.
Yep. I'm not a flat earther, by the way. I'm fucking around. But like, but yeah, no, the moon. I'm listening. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we didn't go to the moon, bro.
It's just a Samsung IA photo, or what they call it, AI photo.
I was thinking more studio in Hollywood. Move to the left a bit. Wave the flag.
Yeah, no, I'm not so deep into conspiracy theories.
Do you know what I love about conspiracies? I'm not deep into them and I don't give them any thought. What I like about conspiracies is, when someone fucking loves them and they go, you don't understand. Yeah. And I go, yeah, but what about this? And you just let them go. That's my fun part.
I haven't met, at least in Berlin or in Portugal, I haven't met that many people that were...
Really? Oh, I've had a few. I've had a couple on here that go off on conspiracies.
Yeah, maybe they're more undercover. They don't talk to me. Well, basically, because maybe I'm only just talking about Jiu-Jitsu and they never get to the
they're
point.
like, this guy, we're never going to convince him the earth's flat.
But I don't go too deep into it. Yeah, just make fun of people that do say it. Yeah,
there you go.
That's always the point.
And if they got a problem with it, it'll choke you out. There you go. That's what you get. But mate, I really appreciate you doing this, man. This has been really fun. Before I finish up, I always ask the most important question I'm going to ask you all day. I don't know if you've seen any of these before, but what football team do you support?
Yeah, well, I stopped watching football when I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, but my team was Porto FC from Portugal, because that's my father's team, and I will always support them to the heart, since that's my father's team till the end.
Whoa, very good. You had a proper answer. That was cool. So the correct answer was Chelsea, but Porto had Mourinho, so I can kind of take that.
Yeah, come on,
Brothers
Mourinho,
in arms.
Mourinho.
My guy, top man. Thank you very much. I always finish with a fist up like this, mate. Squeeze the neck. Boom!